Today we will be joined by Ryan Kohn, who is the co-founder of Kohn, a premium popcorn company. Before joining Cassandra Stavro in Kohn, he was running his own property development firm. And in December of 2016, he started his own charity initiative with Rees Ahmed, for which he has raised $200,000 for the Kohn Foundation. Today he will be talking to us about the roles that mistakes play in success. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Kohn to the stage.
Thank you. First of all, just to say a huge thank you to Tim for inviting me, old friend of mine from my school days. And I was pleasantly surprised to arrive and see that your deputy principal is also a guy I used to play rugby with at school. So I feel like I'm amongst family now I'm here. So great to be here. And also, I feel super inspired. I kind of woke up this morning a bit bleary-eyed, got in quite late last night, feeling quite tired, and every single person I've met has just accelerated my inspiration and energy levels, and now I'm here and I'm like, can't wait to get going, and I hope in some way that it's interesting what I'm about to say. So when a lot of the people I've met today have been inspiring, and I've listened to lots of talks, and they've all been social enterprises and people who are doing really kind of important, amazing things. And I guess the angle that I'm coming from with regards to diversity and empowerment is through business, because I really believe that business has a fundamental role to play in making sure that we really kind of hammer home those two really important premises. So who here has actually heard of Kohn? Good. I'm glad not many of you have. So then I'm assuming not many of you have tried it. So I've got a little intro video just to give you a bit of a flavour, pun intended, about our business. And then after that, I'll talk about it in more detail.
Today we will be joined by Ryan Kohn, who is the co-founder of Kohn, a premium popcorn company. Before joining Cassandra Stavro in Kohn, he was running his own property development firm. And in December of 2016, he started his own charity initiative with Rees Ahmed, for which he has raised $200,000 for the Kohn Foundation. Today he will be talking to us about the roles that mistakes play in success. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Kohn to the stage.
Thank you. First of all, just to say a huge thank you to Tim for inviting me, old friend of mine from my school days. And I was pleasantly surprised to arrive and see that your deputy principal is also a guy I used to play rugby with at school. So I feel like I'm amongst family now I'm here. So great to be here. And also, I feel super inspired. I kind of woke up this morning a bit bleary-eyed, got in quite late last night, feeling quite tired, and every single person I've met has just accelerated my inspiration and energy levels, and now I'm here and I'm like, can't wait to get going, and I hope in some way that it's interesting what I'm about to say. So when a lot of the people I've met today have been inspiring, and I've listened to lots of talks, and they've all been social enterprises and people who are doing really kind of important, amazing things. And I guess the angle that I'm coming from with regards to diversity and empowerment is through business, because I really believe that business has a fundamental role to play in making sure that we really kind of hammer home those two really important premises. So who here has actually heard of Kohn? Good. I'm glad not many of you have. So then I'm assuming not many of you have tried it. So I've got a little intro video just to give you a bit of a flavour, pun intended, about our business. And then after that, I'll talk about it in more detail. team will feel inspired by. And our purpose as we've developed as a business has changed, has altered, but it's always been around kind of doing things properly. And our purpose right now is make taste with love. So to go into a bit of detail about that, first of all, taste. We are a popcorn brand. We want to make extremely tasty products. But also, the way we do it, we want to make sure that we are kind of the taste makers, leaders. We want to lead the category. In the UK, we're up against our competitors that have a combined revenue last year of over $75 billion. We are a tiny business, but we are winning, and it's because we do things in the right way. And then also with love. So with love bit is with thought, with generosity. And really, when you're starting a business, really think about, right, what is your purpose? What is going to be the thing that you do that inspires you every day to get up? So how that translates into what we do, if you look at our packaging, rather than just working with a branding agency and just saying, hey, give us a logo and give us some nice design, we actually worked with an artist to hand illustrate the drawings on the front of the backs. And again, that was all about doing things properly. That's where that came from. Similarly, our cases. Most people in the industry just do brown boxes with a logo on the front. And we decided to make these kind of proper, bright, bold suitcases. The result of that means that when they go into stores, the store managers actually put them on shelves with our packs inside. So we get this huge space in store that we haven't paid for, but means that we then own a huge kind of color block in store, and we sell much better than our competitors. And so with us, make taste with love really translates into all these little things, that every single thing that we do as a business or that leaves our business has that kind of filter on it. The next point is people. So hopefully you would have seen in the video that we have fun, and we try and create an amazing culture. And you'll see lots of people speak, or you'll read lots of interesting books on business, and everyone talks about the importance of people. And we're no different. So it's not just about finding brilliant people, it's about retaining them. And so we do a number of things to kind of retain our staff. So first of all, our office space. Rather than kind of having really big kind of corporate space, we actually have made it feel much like a home. We have a chef who makes breakfast and lunch in that amazing kitchen every day, which means we get to sit down, have lunch, have breakfast, chat as a team, mingle with different areas of the business, and the return on that is huge. We've built this amazing culture because we're always spending so much time together. We have unlimited holiday for our team. So what that is about empowerment, that word, empowerment, that's been used so many times today. It's saying to people, you know what you've got to do, so it's up to you how much holiday you want to take. And if end of the year, you've taken 100 days holiday, but you've absolutely smashed it, good on you. If you've taken 100 days holiday and you haven't done your job properly, then we might be having some difficult conversations. But ultimately, we really believe in empowering our team. Another thing we do is that everyone in our business is shareholders. Which I think is incredibly important in terms of building this culture and also making sure that everyone is driving towards the same goal and we're all on this journey together. So really, again, think about when you're thinking about a business, and I'm sure there are lots of future business leaders here now, really think about how you're going to look after your people, how you're going to empower them. And do think as well about diversity. In our business, we've got more women than men in our business. I'm really proud of that fact. I love my business partner. She's an amazing, powerful woman. And I think more and more we need to be celebrating that in a big way. So, passion. Now, I really believe you cannot fake passion. And if you're going to start a business, make sure it is something you are passionate about. Doing popcorn is a little thing, but doing it well is a big thing. And we are really passionate about that. And the reason being is that it's come from a really authentic place. So our story, the idea of popcorn came about through my business partner, Cassandra. She was working for an advertising firm in London. Every day around 3 o'clock, someone would go out and buy lots of chocolate, biscuits or cake, and if you were sat anywhere near them, you'd end up inhaling your day's worth of calories in about 10 minutes. And she went home and spoke to her mum about doing flavoured popcorn. At the time, the snacking spectrum was chocolate cakes and biscuits on one side and I guess kind of bland rice cake or an apple on the other and nothing in the middle. And her mum reminded her that one of the last things her dad had bought her before he sadly passed away when she was about 16 was an old school popcorn machine. So she was like, right, That's all the serendipity I need to quit my job. And at the age of 25, 26 years old, she literally handed in her notice the next day with no experience at all, and decided to start a popcorn business. But the manufacturing industry isn't necessarily that welcoming to women. So she had the door slammed shut in her face numerous times when she was kind of wanting to work with people. Where I come in is that I have been a serial entrepreneur. Touch wood, thankfully the things I've done have gone well. I started my first business at 18, and I met Cassandra because she probably don't need to get into this much detail, but she used to date one of my best friends. They're not together now, but everyone's still friends, so it's all good. And we kind of put our heads together, and we started in my living room. Fast forward 6-7 years, we now have a team of 40 brilliant people. We sell over 3.5 million bags a month, and we're in 7 countries across Europe. So, the reason we've been able to do that is because we're passionate about it. Hopefully you can see now I'm passionate about what I'm saying. And when you go into meetings with people and you're speaking, whether it's to your own team or to external people, people feel that passion, and they get excited by that. They want to work with that. So again, if you're going to start a business, really make sure it is something you're passionate about. Which leads me on to something I'm really passionate about, which is my 4th P, the planet. So 16 of the 17 hottest years on record have occurred in the 21st century. We're seeing more natural disasters now than there's ever been across the globe. We think we've lost in the last year or two over 50% of the Great Barrier Reef, which is a travesty. I dived there when I was 18 years old. It was one of the best experiences I've had. This is a huge, huge issue, and this isn't an issue that we can rely now on governments just to be doing the work for us, or even that we believe that they will want to do the work for us. So I do believe that as future business leaders and as individuals and as business owners or social enterprise owners, the responsibility is on us. We really now need to take a lead in making this world a better place for all of us in terms of reducing our footprint and also looking after each other. The good news about that is that, in my industry, for example, all the big guys are doing this now. The world has become a much smaller place. Things are more transparent. We cannot get away with the things that we were getting away with. This amazing campaign that's been started by women, the Time's Up campaign. The time is up now for business as well. They need to step forward and be doing more. And as I say, we're starting to see that. So Tesco last year, who are the biggest retailer in the UK, they became the first zero waste retailer, which is amazing. And the good news for you is that if you take a lead with this in your business, it reflects amazingly well on you, and those big companies will want to work with you more. And also, you'll be able to attract better and retain better people. So really, again, think about how you're going to build the planet. Don't just start a business and think, right, I want to make loads of money. It needs to be a sustainable business in a number of areas, which is also considering the planet and the people within it. And then finally, is potential. So you can do the first 4 Ps really well. But if your business doesn't have a big opportunity in front of you, or you don't have potential as a business, then it's going to be very hard to succeed. So when we started Kohn, snacking was on the increase across the globe. People are time poor. People no longer just eat 3 meals a day. If you work at a popcorn business, you snack 24/7. And that was the case across all continents. And the main driver of that growth in snacking has been healthy snacking. So we were launching into a really fast, exciting, growing category. So it was, a brilliant place. And the reason being is that we all eat popcorn. It doesn't matter if you go to the cinema in Switzerland, in Japan, in London, or wherever you may go, we all eat it. And all we were saying to people is, hey, that snack that you eat at the cinema, try having it with your lunch, or having it in between meals as a healthy alternative to crisps. So that was a really easy message to deliver, or we think it is anyway. So those are the 5 Ps. And now the other part of, I guess, what I wanted to talk about today is something else that we all do, and that is that we all fuck up. I hope I'm not offending anyone by using that word, but I am being deliberately provocative because we do. And I think it's really important that we react to those mistakes in the right way. And I really believe that if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. And I go to a lot of these talks and you hear about these people's successes and they've sold this and they're doing this and they're, turned over however many millions. But I'm always like, yeah, but, what mistakes did you make? What went wrong, and how did you learn from that? That's the stuff I'm interested in. So I want to tell you about a few of ours. Our first mistake, or first big mistake that I wanted to talk about, was when we started Kohn. Neither myself nor my business partner Cassandra had any experience whatsoever in our industry. And as I'm sure you're all aware, when you sell a food or a drinks product, they all have a best before date. And we assumed, because we have 6 months on our best before in Kohn, that we could sell that product right up until the last day, and how wrong we were. So we had minimum order quantities that we needed to satisfy, and as a small business, our first order was, I think, 50 pallets, which works out as about 70,000 packs. So all of our money was spent on the stock, and we thought we had 6 months to sell it. The retailers, however, work off a system whereby they accept your stock with 3/4 of your shelf life, and anything under that they'll return. But we didn't know this, so we got to about 4 months shelf life on our product, and we were selling it, and we started getting rejections from our wholesalers and from these retailers saying, sorry, there's not enough shelf life on your product. And we were like, what do you mean? There's still 4 months. You've got plenty of time. They're like, no, we won't accept it unless there's a minimum of 3/4. And we were like, fuck, what are we going to do? Our business literally in that moment could have gone under. So what we did is we got on the phones and we just sold, and we just stopped everything else we were doing, all the fun social media, all the fun stuff that you want to do as a business owner. We just made everything about selling. We brokered deals, and I'm really happy to say we managed to sell that stock. And people always ask me, what was it that, how did you guys just grow so quickly overnight? Like, it seemed like I kind of blinked and all of a sudden you were everywhere. And I point to that mistake. It was that mistake that instilled this kind of sales, like, our business is going to live or die by the sales. And so it wasn't just about selling that stock. We then made it all about that. And once you then got revenue coming into your business, you can do the fun stuff. And so that was, I guess, our first mistake and our first big learning. The second one was a more kind of logistical nightmare. So we decided on our kind of 2-year anniversary to change the logo on the front of our bags from Proper Kohn to Proper Love. My idea, I'm quite a cheesy guy, so I was very excited about this. And we didn't have budget to do it on all packs, so we were only sending it to certain retailers, and we didn't have budget to change our cases, but we didn't think that would be an issue at the time. So when it kind of was approaching Valentine's Day, we called up our distribution company. We said, right, can you send the Proper Love stock over to Whole Foods and to Tesco's and Waitrose and all these people? And they were like, what do you mean Proper Love stock? And we were like, the one with the logo.
Today we will be joined by Ryan Kohn, who is the co-founder of Kohn, a premium popcorn company. Before joining Cassandra Stavro in Kohn, he was running his own property development firm. And in December of 2016, he started his own charity initiative with Rees Ahmed, for which he has raised $200,000 for the Kohn Foundation. Today, he will be talking to us about the roles that mistakes play in success. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Kohn to the stage.
Thank you. First of all, just to say a huge thank you to Tim for inviting me, old friend of mine from my school days. And I was pleasantly surprised to arrive and see that your deputy principal is also a guy I used to play rugby with at school. So I feel like I'm amongst family now I'm here. So great to be here. And also, I feel super inspired. I kind of woke up this morning a bit bleary-eyed, got in quite late last night, feeling quite tired. And every single person I've met has just accelerated my inspiration and energy levels, and now I'm here and I'm like, can't wait to get going. And I hope in some way that it's interesting what I'm about to say. So when a lot of the people I've met today have been inspiring, and I've listened to lots of talks, and they've all been social enterprises and people who are doing really kind of important, amazing things. And I guess the angle that I'm coming from with regards to diversity and empowerment is through business, because I really believe that business has a fundamental role to play in making sure that we really kind of hammer home those two really important premises. So who here has actually heard of Kohn? Good. Good. I'm glad not many of you have. So then I'm assuming not many of you have tried it. So I've got a little intro video just to give you a bit of a flavour, pun intended, about our business. And then after that, I'll talk about it in more detail. Cool. So there's us. So I've been lucky enough to see some amazing people speak, people like Richard Branson, and whenever I go along to see these brilliant people speak, and in Richard's case, I'm like, come on, Rich, give me that secret. What is that secret to kind of building this amazing virgin business? What's that one thing that you've done? And I guess the bad news is there isn't just one thing, and there isn't a secret, I don't think, to kind of building a business in the right way. But certainly what I have learned is that there are certainly some common denominators. And so I've tried to distill that into something I call the 5 Ps. I'm going to stand over here. There we go. So those Ps are purpose, people, passion, planet, and potential. So starting with purpose. Every business needs a purpose, a wider, bigger reason to kind of get up in the morning, something that your team will feel inspired by. And our purpose as we've developed as a business has changed, has altered, but it's always been around kind of doing things properly. And our purpose right now is make taste with love. So to go into a bit of detail about that, first of all, taste. We are a popcorn brand. We want to make extremely tasty products. But also, the way we do it, we want...
Today we will be joined by Ryan Kohn, who is the co-founder of Kohn, a premium popcorn company. Before joining Cassandra Stavro in Kohn, he was running his own property development firm. And in December of 2016, he started his own charity initiative with Rees Ahmed, for which he has raised $200,000 for the Kohn Foundation. Today, he will be talking to us about the roles that mistakes play in success. So please join me in welcoming Ryan Kohn to the stage.
Thank you. First of all, just to say a huge thank you to Tim for inviting me, old friend of mine from my school days. And I was pleasantly surprised to arrive and see that your deputy principal is also a guy I used to play rugby with at school. So I feel like I'm amongst family now I'm here. So great to be here. And also, I feel super inspired. I kind of woke up this morning a bit bleary-eyed, got in quite late last night, feeling quite tired. And every single person I've met has just accelerated my inspiration and energy levels, and now I'm here and I'm like, can't wait to get going, and I hope in some way that it's interesting what I'm about to say. So a lot of the people I've met today have been inspiring, and I've listened to lots of talks, and they've all been social enterprises and people who are doing really kind of important, amazing things. And I guess the angle that I'm coming from with regards to diversity and empowerment is through business, because I really believe that business has a fundamental role to play in making sure that we really kind of hammer home those two really important premises. So who here has actually heard of proper Kohn? Good. I'm glad not many of you have. So then I'm assuming not many of you have tried it. So I've got a little intro video just to give you a bit of a flavour, pun intended, about our business. And then after that, I'll talk about it in more detail. Kind of value of the output. So at the moment, there's no demand to recycle those packs. So all of those packs that we make and all the packs of crisps and things like that that you guys eat, all unfortunately will go to landfill or I guess get burnt or whatever else they do with rubbish. So this is something that is like number one priority for us. We are working really hard to come up with other solutions to use for our bags. And the key thing as well with us is that to maintain shelf life, you do need a barrier there that keeps the kind of air out and air in as well in terms of snacks. So that it's not an easy thing to do. It's not like we can just start putting our popcorn in paper bags. So that's the one bugbear, but I'm hoping that certainly this year we'll have some exciting news in that area. Yeah.
You said that all your employees have shares of the company.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, how is that sustainable, and how do you implement that in
Sure.
your...
So what we did is we allocated an amount of shares that we wanted to use to incentivize our team. And so when people join our business, they automatically get 10% of their salary in shares, and as their salary increases, so does the amount of shares that they have. And as the business value increases, they get more shares. But we also have something that we call the proper cachet, whereby people who are kind of real superstars in our team, and we do have many, can get even more than that as well. And so we some of them, will have serious kind of share packages as well to help motivate and maintain them. I think it's a really important thing to do. I think it's a really nice way to kind of distribute wealth across a business, but ultimately I actually think it's beneficial for the business because the culture that builds helps you build a more excited team. They work harder, everyone's in it together, and actually I think then you create more success and you create a bigger pie. Yeah.
Has anyone ever called the idea of proper Kohn crazy, or said you were crazy for starting up that business?
Yeah, definitely. The point I mentioned before, when Cassandra was kind of speaking to lots of different manufacturers, when I said that they slammed the door shut in her face, they were all just saying to her, you've got no experience, you've got no money, what are you doing? There are some big players that have now entered this market or already play in this market. You're never going to go anywhere. And weirdly, it was through like a family friend of mine that we managed to find a guy who had this old cement mixer, but he also had a popcorn popper. And what we did initially to season our popcorn was we put the popcorn in this cement mixer, and we stood there with a water pistol, squirting oil in and throwing seasoning on top. and turning this thing round and round and round to season our popcorn. And we actually still have that cement mixer in our offices. So yeah, like, you know, we were told definitely not to definitely to start, you know, to not start our business, and that we were kind of playing with the big boys when we shouldn't have been. But we had that belief in what we were doing and the brand that we wanted to build. So thankfully we did it.
Next, we want to take a question from Twitter
Yeah.
real quick. So this is from Kenneth, and he wants to ask you if you could talk about the first business you started at the age of 18.
Yeah, sure. So when I was at university, I loved sport, and in the football trials at university, I tore my ACL, my cruciate ligament, which means you basically pretty much can't play football for the rest of the season, which meant I had lots of extra time, because I don't know what it's like in Switzerland, but the first year of university in the UK is a bit of a DOS, and you don't do loads of work. So I used to love this hip-hop night in London, which was called Funkin' Pussy, which was like a breakdancing, it was like a night with like breakdancers and beatboxers, and so me and a couple of friends thought, you know, let's start up a hip-hop night, and we got loads of cool breakdancers down and beatboxers and whatnot, and it went really well. And then almost by accident, we started getting approached by lots of the big leisure PLCs in the UK saying, hey, look, we've just seen your success in this nightclub. Do you mind doing student events at, you know, our clubs? And, you know, and then very quickly, I think within 2 to 3 years, we were doing about 16 nights a week in 11 different cities across the UK, and we had around 400 student employees. So I quit actually university, which I'm not telling you to do. I quit university after my second year. I was studying philosophy and economics to run the business full time. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience and an amazing, I guess, intro into business. I learned so much from it. However, I think it also taught me that, you know, I mentioned before the word passion. I wasn't passionate about doing student club nights, if I'm honest. It wasn't necessarily the most, I don't know, life-fulfilling or invigorating industry. You're probably working with quite a lot of like seedy club managers where we were in the UK. And so it also meant that for me, I really realized that my next projects and things I wanted to do had to be something that were more meaningful to me. Yeah. Oh, someone, if he's there, whatever.
So if you would have a cool idea again, would you start up another business or just basically do it all over again?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I frustratingly have so many ideas that I want to do, and it's really hard to do 5 ideas at once. And the reason why people like Richard Branson can do it is because he hires an amazing team for every project that he starts. And obviously I don't have the funds to do that. And what I would also say is when you do try and do 2 or 3 different things at once, it's very hard to do them all really well. So certainly after Popcorn, I don't, you know, I love the journey we're on, and I don't know, you know, I can't see into the future, but there will come a point when I'm sure we will exit. And I have lots of other ideas that I'd love to do, but they will be much more focused on social enterprise or maybe starting my own charity.
So you said when the big companies refused your offer, you said you basically just went on the streets and sold these popcorn. So I'm just curious, how did you do it?
How do we do it?
Yeah.
So I guess what we did is first of all we made a list of quick serve restaurant chains, of cafes, of other retailers that we could approach. And initially, we kind of started here with our pricing, and then gradually we started giving them more and more discount to shift it. And we knew what our margins were, so we knew the level that we could go to where we wouldn't make a loss. And ultimately, if I'm honest, what we wanted to do at that point was just sell it and break even. We just wanted to get our money back so that we can make another order. And yeah, I think where Cass and I can get a bit of credit is we're both probably quite good salespeople. And we went out to meetings, we camped outside offices until the decision makers were there, and we just made sure that we got some FaceTime with them and kind of sold them the popcorn dream. And I think, and a lot of those people we're still friendly with now, and are very thankful that we did that because it gave them an intro and gave them the little nudge to try something different. And now popcorn in the UK is a really big category.
So you've mentioned that sustainability and engaging in fair trade practices is very important for your company. So my question is, when you engage in fair trade practices, which is more expensive than what most companies would undertake, does this hinder or help your growth as a business? Thank you.
That's a great question. I think I believe it massively helps your growth. I do think that in a number of areas it's really important. And I mentioned before again, first of all, in terms of inspiring your team, knowing that your company stands for something that does things in the right way, I think is really important. I think building a trust relationship with your consumer is massively important, and you can't even place a value on that. I'm sure, yes, it means we miss out on a bit of margin, and we will make less profit in certain areas, but that's not what we are building a business about. I said before as well, if doing popcorn is a little thing, doing it well is a big thing, and doing it well doesn't mean just selling a lot of cheap popcorn. It's actually like, let's make really great tasting flavors that are all natural, healthy ingredients. Let's make sure that we run our business in the right way, that we look after our team. Having a chef sounds so indulgent, and yes, it costs us more to do that, but what it does for the culture is, again, can't place a value on it. So I do think those things are incredibly important. I think as well, it's really important that when you start your business, you do think about them from the start, because they're much harder to bring in later on. If you look at these big corporates and they want to start turning their business into a sustainable business, they have to make drastic changes, and they'll see big chunks come off their bottom line because there will inevitably be a cost. So yeah, I personally, where I stand, and I wouldn't feel proud of a business that wasn't doing things in the right way, and I wouldn't want to associate myself with that anymore. So certainly for us, it's also about kind of just my personal beliefs, and something that we should definitely be doing.
How do you think, what is the best way of coping with major mistakes?
The best way of coping with major mistakes? I really think taking the responsibility and owning them. I think we're taught in life from a young age, in any way, kind of that it's wrong to make a mistake, or oh, what have you done? You've done this, you've done that. I mean, I've made so many mistakes in my life. I got suspended from school. I've done, I've really pushed the boundaries in terms of making mistakes. But even getting suspended from school was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because it was the wake-up call I needed to sort my stuff out and really get my head down and work hard and put my efforts into kind of life in the right way. And so I just think owning your mistakes and really being aware to not make the same mistake in the future is really important. And I think that's probably the best way to cope with it. I think the antithesis of that is you don't own it and you run away from that. And I think that you're never going to get anywhere if you have that approach.
So we want to thank you, Ryan, for sharing the insight of the business world with us and how we can treat the mistakes we make. So if you still want to talk with Ryan, you can come up and talk to him at the stage. Otherwise, feel free to move to your next session.
Thank you very much.